your right hand and face the clerk.
You swear affirm that evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Go over to the witness stand.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
If you could state your full name and spell your last name for the record.
My name is Janine Hiller, and my last name is spelled Hiller.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm a crime scene investigator and latent print examiner.
All right, and in order to be, I guess, what agency do you work for?
I work for the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office.
All right, in order to be qualified for that position, do you have to have any special training or education?
Yes.
What is it?
So, I have an Associate's of Arts degree from Indian River State College, and through my almost 12, almost 13 years as a crime scene investigator with the Sheriff's Office, I have had numerous hours of training, specifically latent print training. I've had over 300 hours in friction ridge examination and forensic training in various forensic disciplines, over 700 hours. I'm a certified senior crime scene analyst through the International Association for Identification and a certified latent print examiner also through the Association for Identification.
All right, and were you working in that capacity back on August 24th, 2018?
Yes, I was.
And were you called out or responded to an area of Johnson Road and Russos Road out in St. Lucie County?
Yes.
Before I get into specifics or showing photographs, how would you describe that part of the county?
It is a very rural area. There's not a lot of housing in that direct vicinity.
And that would be north of Indrio Road,
To the north of Indrio, yes.
close to almost the county line with Indian River County.
Yes.
As the crime scene investigator, what is your job when you get out to a crime scene?
As a crime scene investigator, when I respond to crime scenes, my primary role is to document the crime scene, analyze anything that might be in the crime scene, determine if it has any evidentiary value, collect and preserve that evidence.
And do you guys document the scene as it exists when you first arrive?
Yes.
How do you go about doing that?
Taking photographs.
Okay, now in this particular case, did you end up taking photographs?
Yes, I did.
Did you end up collecting evidence
Yes, I did.
and also swabbing evidence?
Yes.
At this time, I have a package that's been previously marked for identification, States Exhibits 40 through 102. If you could go through this and just let me know if you recognize these photographs.
Yes, I recognize all the photographs in States Exhibit 4D through 102.
All right. How is it that you recognize them?
I took those photographs.
And these are the photographs of the scene as you saw it back in August of 2018.
Yes,
Fair and accurate representation of the scene.
yes.
This time, state movement evidence 40 through 102.
No objection, Judge.
Those items will be admitted without objection.
So I'm going to publish those photos that you just went through, and I'm going to ask you to go through these with me. All right, for the record, we have States Exhibit 40. What are we looking at here, Ms. Hiller?
This is an aerial photograph of the area of Johnston Road and Russo Road intersection that I took from a helicopter.
All right, and which out of the two roads we have, call it horizontal and one that's vertical, which road is which?
The road that's vertical, that's going off into the distance, is Johnston Road, that's going towards the south. And then the road that's going towards the side of the screen is Russo's Road, and it's going towards the east.
So this road here that I'm pointing at,
Yes.
to the east. Going to bring up now States Exhibit 41. What are we looking at here?
This is the same intersection. Now we're looking towards the north. So that road that's going off towards the right side of the screen is the Russo's Road towards the east. And the one that's short vertically is Johnston Road towards the north.
States Exhibit 42.
This is an image depicting the intersection showing that it's Johnston Road and Russo Road.
States Exhibit 43.
This image is depicting Russo's Road looking towards the west, and beyond that tent area that you see is the intersection that was in the States Exhibit 42, the intersection of Russo's and Johnston Road.
So the stop sign way in the distance, that's going to be Johnston Road out there.
Yes.
And now we have States Exhibit 44.
This would be on Russo's Road looking towards the east.
States Exhibit 45.
This is on Russo's Road looking towards the southern side of the road.
States Exhibit 46.
This is also on Russo's Road, pointing towards the east where we started to see some portions of the victim.
All right. And so are you able to see where the victim is located in this photograph?
Yes.
Where's that?
The victim is located on the southern side of the road. So that would be the right area of the road in the grassy area. And there's a blue area that's within the green grass. That is the start of the victim.
And then what you're referring to is right here in this photograph?
Yes.
States Exhibit 47. What are you documenting in this photograph?
This is just some of the overall pictures that we tend to take whenever we are documenting a crime scene. This is the victim still looking towards the east. You can see her head is to the east, her feet are to the west, and that's on that southern side of Russo's Road.
Now we have States Exhibit 48. What do we have here?
This is a photograph depicting the victim on the southern side of the road. I am now in a different position. I'm standing on the road looking towards the south, taking like just the overall picture to document the scene.
States Exhibit 49. Same question.
This would be from the east looking towards the west, showing the overall condition of the scene. You can see the victim still there in the kind of in the center of the picture. And this is looking towards the west.
And we have now States Exhibit 50.
This is just a closer up photograph of the victim prior to us moving her or doing any examination.
And then we have State's Exhibit 52. What are you trying to show with this photograph?
This is just the overall condition of how we find the victim and how, how she is looked in the conditions that she was found in.
Did you notice anything in her hands when you examined the victim at the scene?
Well, initially we were only able to see her left hand, which was clenched in a fist. You can kind of see there, and it appears to be grasping something, but we don't know exactly what's in the hand.
So I think we're at State's 52. What are you trying to show with this photograph?
Again, we weren't able to move the victim just yet. So this photograph is just depicting what we can see without moving her. We can start to see from this image that there's some form of injury on her neck. We can see some blood and a little bit of the cut injury that's there.
And what we have now is State's Exhibit 53. How do you guys go about moving a victim at the scene, and I guess what's that process?
I mean, every scene is different. For this particular scene, once the medical examiner investigator arrives on scene, we put a bag, it's a body bag, so that white material that is underneath her up next to her so that we could roll her directly into that body bag and contain any possible evidence that might be on her backside. And she's just placed there for us to begin our initial examination.
All right. Were there any immediately obvious injuries once you were able to move the victim?
Yes. So in this image, it's depicting the victim. This is exactly how she looked once we rolled her from that ditch area onto her back and into the body bag. You can see there's an injury to the right side of her neck.
And then we have State's Exhibit 54. What are we looking at in this exhibit?
This is a photograph of her right hand, which was underneath her body when we initially arrived. So just documenting the condition of her hand, and it's also closed into a fist and appears to be grasping something, and the hair tie that's on her wrist.
And we now have State's Exhibit 55.
This is more just documentation of the condition that she's in once we take her from the way that we found her, and documenting anything that we see.
State's Exhibit 56. What was the purpose of this photograph?
Again, we're just documenting the hands, the conditions of the hands. She's got her left hand now also is grasping, appears to be grasped. We don't know if there's anything else in there, but it is clenched into a fist grabbing that grass.
State's Exhibit 57.
This is kind of showing a position where we can start to see another injury on the left side of her neck, kind of around her collarbone.
State's Exhibit 58.
And this is just moving in closer to depict that image, or that this image depicts that injury that we could start to see on the left side of her neck.
And then we have State's Exhibit 59. What are we looking at in this photograph?
So in the center of this photograph, there is material that we believed that
We're going to ask more questions. I know what the objection is.
You're withdrawing the question, asking another one?
Yeah.
Okay.
In your work as a crime scene analyst, have you ever had the opportunity to come across vomit?
Yes, I come across all kinds of bodily fluids, to include vomit, feces, urine, blood, saliva, and semen. This
Based on your experience and what you've worked with in the past, was there anything significant that you saw in this photograph that you felt you needed to make sure you documented?
While on scene, we observed that the material that was in this hole where the victim's face was laying was consistent with bodily fluid that's consistent with vomit. So we documented that along with the blood that was there.
And this area that's in the center of the photograph where you can see a reddish color, where was the victim's head in reference to this?
Directly inside that little concave hole that's holding all of that material, that liquid and the white liquid and the red liquid.
And what was the condition of the victim's clothes when you took her out of the swale on the side of the road?
A majority of her clothing was wet. In some of the photographs, I don't know if you were able to notice, but like the middle portion of her pants were pure dry, but then there was areas where you could see that they were wet. The front side of her was wet. Her hair was wet and matted. And then her clothing especially her top was very wet, and then her face and hair were wet.
What was the condition of the ground where she was found?
So she was kind of in that swale or ditch, so it was also wet. You can see the glimmer of some of the water just below that little hole where you see the white material and the red material. So you can kind of see the glimmer of the water that's there.
So now I want to go with State's Exhibit 60. Looks like we're now starting to see some markers in these photographs. What are these markers?
The cones that you see depicted in this photograph are cones that we place to identify any kind of specific evidence that we wanted to document, because we don't know when we're there, what's important and what's not. So we place markers for evidence that we want to document and possibly collect.
All right, and for cone A in this photograph on State's Exhibit 60, or let me go actually to State's Exhibit 61. What was of significance that you observed for State's, for marker A?
This image is depicting tire impressions that we observed on the ground from the road, which is the left side, onto the grass. So that would be the grass is on the southern side of the Russos Road, and like this image would be towards the east.
And I'll go with State's Exhibit 62. What is this?
This image is depicting a close-up photograph of those tire impressions that you observed with the photo marker A.
And State 63.
Also depicting that same tire marks with the photo marker A.
All right, now I'm going to move to State's Exhibit 64, and then I'll go up to State's Exhibit 65. What are you documenting in State 65?
This area is again on the southern side of Russos Road, kind of looking towards the southeast. And here is documenting a flashlight and some hair that is hanging from the tree and also on the ground. So the first cone, the one that's closest, I think it's B. That is the flashlight, and the cone further away, more in the ditch, is C, and it's marking hair.
And would this be State 66, a close-up of B?
Yes.
And then we have State 67. It looks like now we've moved on to cone D.
So this is kind of a little bit to the east of that area where you saw B and C on Russos Road. Again, looking to the east, cone D is marking that mark that's in the ground there right in front of it.
And what I'll do is I'll pull up State's Exhibit 68. What are we looking at in State 68?
Just the disturbance in the gravel and the divot that's different than everything else around it.
I'm going to go to State's 69. Are we just showing more markers?
Yes.
State's Exhibit 70. Is this the same thing?
Yes, so this is looking towards the east, kind of marking everything that we're finding directly around the victim, who's in the center of the screen at the top.
All right, we're at States Exhibit 71. Which marker are we looking at now?
This marker is photo marker number or letter F, and it's the start of a tire impression that was observed in the grass that goes from the grass area into the dirt on the road and into Russo's road.
Go to, looks like we're now looking at marker G on State 71.
So F, G, and H, which we have in a line, you don't have F in this particular image, but is marking that brown area that looks like a tire was driving there.
And are you referring to, I guess, the furthest cone to the left, the brown area that's between those two cones?
Yes.
I think we're State 73.
This is just the same area documenting all the cones that are within the vicinity of the victim. We're marking the tire impression that's there between G and H, a cup, and some beer cans that were around the victim's body.
I'll go through States 74, and then I'll go to State 75, States 76. What are we looking at in 76?
This is a paper napkin that was on the ground just to the left of the victim's body, a little bit ahead of, to the east of her head.
As the crime scene investigator, when you arrive on the scene, do you know all the facts?
No,
Do you, most of the time, do you not have very much information at all?
correct. I
So,
don't have a lot of information ever.
so do you collect everything that you see?
Not necessarily everything, but we do a lot of documentation and collect a lot of material from most crime scenes.
So we'll go States Exhibit 77, States Exhibit 78, States Exhibit 79, States Exhibit 80, States Exhibit 81, States Exhibit 82, States Exhibit 83. The photos that I just went through, what are you documenting in these?
Just all the photo markers and cones, with the exception of, I think it was 80, States Exhibit 82 and 83. Everything was on the south side of the road, except for that, this Coke Zero bottle was on the northern edge of the road. But we just document all those cones and all those items so that we know what is there.
So now we're going to pull up States 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93. What are we looking at in this photograph? Cone U.
Let me check my report. That's just a disturbance in the grass area that was noted that it was knocked down and in the dirt. So it was photographed and documented.
We're going to go to States Exhibit 94, States Exhibit 95, States Exhibit 96. What are we looking at in States 96?
This is a photograph depicting photo marker V as in Victor, and it's a condom wrapper that was located close to the intersection of Johnston and Russo.
States Exhibit W, or States Exhibit 97, photo marker W. What are we looking at here?
This image depicts photo marker W, also very close to the intersection of Johnston and Russo, and it's a t-shirt that was located on the side of the road.
All right, then we have States Exhibit 98, States Exhibit 99. Is this the same shirt?
Yes.
And then we have States Exhibit 100, State's Exhibit 101, then State's Exhibit 102. What are we looking at in 102?
This is the area to the west. So standing on Russo's Road, looking towards the west, the intersection of Johnson and Russo, showing the conditions of the weather and the intersection and everything that we see. You can start to see this is more towards the afternoon because there's some storm clouds there in the sky.
So now I want to talk a little bit about the physical evidence that you collected. When you collect physical evidence at a crime scene, what are the other tests that a crime scene investigator can do to those items? Or at least prepare for them to be tested by someone else?
You're asking what will I do with them once I take them from the crime scene?
Yes.
Okay. So once we collect evidence as crime scene investigators, we can take them back to our lab and we can examine them for biological fluids, which would include the blood, saliva, semen, and urine, anything that might help us with our investigation. We can process it for latent fingerprints. We can collect DNA swabs from it. We can take clippings from it. We can do all kinds of things depending on what the item is.
And are you able to do fingerprint examination?
Yes, I am.
Did you examine items for fingerprints in this case?
Yes, I did.
And did you also swab items for DNA in this case?
Yes, I did.
For this time, I want to show you what's been marked for identification, State's Exhibit 7. Do you recognize this item?
Yes, I recognize State's Exhibit 7 as I have labeled it in my handwriting. DNA swabs, top portion of flashlight, PMB.
All right, so you testified earlier there was a photo marker that there was a flashlight that was found in the grass.
Yes,
And did you swab that flashlight for DNA?
yes, I did.
Okay, is that what State's Exhibit 7 is?
Yes.
At this time, State would move State's Exhibit 7 into evidence at 7.
No objection.
We'll come into evidence without objection. There's some.
Now, I want to ask you some items about, and before I ask you about, did you do fingerprint analysis? How is it that you're able to do fingerprint analysis?
As I said earlier, I'm trained as a latent print examiner. I am a certified latent print examiner through the International Association for Identification. To become a certified latent print examiner, you have to have education. Depending on your level of education, you have to have a certain number of years in the field. For my level of education, I had to have a minimum of 3 years of work experience as a latent print examiner. I have to go through 2 years of supervised casework while I'm in training or doing on-the-job training, in addition to all my classroom hours of training. And that, again, that was over 300 hours. And then once I meet all the qualifications for testing, I have to take a test. It's a 200 question test that I have to get a 85% or better to pass the first portion of the test. And then I have to do a comparison portion of the test, which I have to get 100% and make 13 correct conclusions.
And have you testified in court as a fingerprint analyst before?
Yes.
So in this particular case, did you process 10 separate items that were found on the scene?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and would those include 5 Bud Light beer cans, 2 Budweiser beer cans, a Coke Zero bottle, and a plastic cup?
Yes.
Were you able to obtain anything of evidentiary value from any of those items?
No, I was not.
All right, and what does that mean?
It means that I just wasn't able to obtain fingerprints from those particular items. Latent fingerprints are an unintentional recording or recording of digital or friction-rich skin on your fingers and palms or on the soles of your feet. And those, fingerprints being left can be affected by the conditions of the item when you're touching it. It can be affected by the conditions where they are left.
You want to approach?
Certain, I guess, conditions that can affect whether or not you get fingerprints off of a certain item.
Yes,
Okay, and that can that be the, I guess, the condition of where the item's left?
yes,
For example, if it's left outside
yes.
in the rain or exposed to the elements,
I'll sustain the objection to the last form of the question.
can the elements or the weather have anything to do with the condition of a fingerprint?
Yes. Fingerprints are mostly water, 99 to 98 to 99% water. So they are subjective to the conditions that they are in.
So from the items that you found, you didn't get any fingerprints.
Yes,
Now I want to ask you, did you also attend the autopsy on August 25th of 2018 of Miss Weiss in this case?
yes,
And was that autopsy performed by Dr. Linda O'Neill?
yes, it was.
As the crime scene investigator, what is your role at the autopsy?
At the autopsy, my role was to document, again, take photographs, document and collect and preserve any evidence that we had found or collected during the autopsy.
And did you collect evidence at this autopsy?
Yes.
At this time, what I'd like to show you has been marked for identification as State's Exhibit 9. Do you recognize State's Exhibit 9?
Yes, I recognize State's Exhibit 9, labeled as DNA Baby Boy Wise, and it's labeled in my handwriting.
All right. How do you go about, I guess, collecting a particular item of evidence in general?
It varies from item to item and what we're collecting and what we're doing. For this particular one, this is a blood standard, so the blood is taken from the person and placed on a card with 4 little circles of the blood.
All right. And this is the blood, in this exhibit, this is the blood from baby boy Josiah Wise from the autopsy.
Yes.
Okay. This time, State removing evidence was marked for identification, State's Exhibit 9. The evidence is 9.
No objection.
That item will come into evidence without objection.
All right. What I'd like to show you is, did you also take swabs related to the victim's body during the autopsy?
Yes, I did.
What I'd like to provide you with is State's Exhibits 10 through 20. If you could go through 10 through 20 and just let me know if you recognize these.
Yes, I recognize all of these items.
All right, and then I'd also like to show you what's been marked for identification as State's Exhibits 21 through 25. Same questions. Can you let me know if you recognize those items?
Yes, I recognize State's Exhibits 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25.
All right, so on August 25th of 2018, you attended the autopsy of the victim, Tanya and Josiah, correct?
Yes,
And was a sexual assault kit performed of the victim, Tanya, at that time?
yes,
And does that include taking vaginal swabs, rectal swabs, and oral swabs?
yes,
And is there also done swabs of the victim's both hands of her fingernails and then also hairs pulled?
both hands, some of the fingernails, pulled head hairs are part of the sexual assault kit. And then, what was the other thing you said?
Was there
Sorry.
also hairs that were observed and taken and placed into evidence?
Yes,
Okay, so as far as State's Exhibits 10 through 25, are those the hairs and the swabs that you just described?
yes.
Okay, did you package each one of these items?
With the exceptions of the ones that are in these envelopes, these are part of the sexual assault kit envelopes, which are, I did collect these from the medical examiner's office, but I didn't personally put them in there. myself.
But you were present during the autopsy, you collected them, and that's what's in those bags.
Yes,
At this time, the state would move into evidence which we marked for identification as State's Exhibits 10 through 25.
No objection.
Those items will come into evidence without objection.